Hello and welcome to our special podcast on management lessons from Mahabharata. I am your host Manorama, and today we have a distinguished guest, Professor Arnab Chatterjee, an eminent professor and author of the book The Tale of Mahabharata. So this book is really a good source of knowledge for you, dear learners. The Mahabharata, an ancient Indian epic, is just not a tale of war but a treasure trove of leadership, wisdom, strategic thinking, and ethical decision making. So, today we will explore all the key lessons from this epic and see how it resonates with the modern management practices. Professor Chatterjee, it's an absolute honor to us to have you with us. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
So, coming to the very first question of management lessons from the tale of Mahabharata, let's start by discussing the leadership styles depicted in the Mahabharata. Sir, characters like Krishna, Bhishma, and Yudhishthira, and distinct approaches to leadership, how they exemplify different leadership styles, and what lessons we learners and we modern leaders or managers can take from the epic.
Well, I think this is a very conceptual question. I would say difficult for me to answer because if you see the Mahabharata and if you see a small episode, which is the Bhagavad Gita, which happens before the war, if you're talking about leadership and how, first we have to analyze how this leadership was carried on in the epic. Well, you have two main leaders, I would say, in the epic. One is Bhishma, who actually never was the king of Hastinapur, but said that he is a regent, that he will always be protecting Hastinapur. And the second is Lord Krishna in the war. So what happens is, I would say that leadership goes wrong on the part of Bhishma at least, because when Arjun is not been able to kill Bhishma, so Krishna says that I will kill Bhishma for you because this has to be a war of Dharma. And Bhishma says that I never committed anything wrong in my life. So why do you want to kill me? But even if I can die at your hands, O Lord, then I will earn heaven. I think this is a very important episode in the war where Sri Krishna tells Bhishma that you are a virtuous man and you have basically guarded Hastinapur's throne. But the problem is things went wrong when you forgot about the people. You forgot that the disrobing of Draupadi was going on. You could have stopped that, but you didn't stop it because you were bounded by your word that whatever will happen in Hastinapur, I will do it for its good. But that didn't happen in the war, before the war at least. And there are many retellings of Mahabharata as motion pictures, serials, Star Plus, and all that. I would just refer to one of them where Bhishma asks Sri Krishna when he's already having the Sudarshan in his hand that, what do you want me to do, O Lord, if you don't want to kill me? He said, it is not my prarabdha to kill you. It's Arjun's prarabdha or his destiny.
Yes.
So right now you just go and fight and get killed at the hands of Arjuna. Obviously, Shikanda's story I don't want to bring here because that is not related to your question. So in the Mahabharata war, you have leadership going wrong, at least from Bhishma's side, and also Pandu, who could not govern that well. So the application in the real world of management is to understand strategic management, how exactly you are going to make strategies for a better organization. First of all, you have to understand that though you're working for an organization, just like Bhishma was working for Hastinapur, you have to keep in mind the employees, just like Bhishma could not keep in mind his subjects, the people who were drawn in the war. So this is very important. The employee-employer relationship is very important. And also when Lord Krishna is trying to stop the war, like we often blame Lord Krishna as somebody who actually caused the Mahabharata war. He actually didn't cause it. He was a Shanti Duta. He was a messenger. He went to Hastinapur and even told Duryodhan that if you can give 5 villages to the Pandavas, the war can be stopped. And I would like to use this in Hindi because it is in Sanskrit that सुई की नोक पर जितनी जमीन आती है मैं उतनी भी पांडवों को नहीं दूंगा. So the war was inevitable. So how we can bring it to the management lessons, right? That's your big question. So sometimes you have to sacrifice a bit of your profits for the betterment of the people, of your employees, and sometimes you have to think about long-term goals. So Duryodhan or Dhritarashtra could not understand the long-term goals, and they were concerned about Indraprastha, which they didn't want to return to the Pandavas. Obviously, another big leadership which goes wrong is Yudhishthir. I will not go into the question of putting Draupadi on the stake, or daw pe lagana, whatever we say, because he was a confirmed gambler. Okay, so there was nothing dharma in that.
Yes, I'll coming back to that question also.
This is how we think, or I would say that you can always keep these things, take lessons from the timeless epic which happened 5,000 years back. Obviously, anthropologically, we are not very sure, but we can do that.
Yes, thank you so much for this great insight about the greater good of the kingdom of the subject. Sometimes we have to take the rigorous decision for the greater good of the community. So the Kurukshetra war was a high stakes conflict where Arjuna, one of the greatest warriors, faced a intense internal conflict dilemma. His famous dilemma before the war has deep philosophical and psychological implications. So, sir, can you shed some light on Arjuna's dilemma in the Kurukshetra war?
Yes, sure. Obviously, this is something which we all know. It's not about a particular religion. The Mahabharata, or even the Bhagavad Gita, which is a part of the Mahabharata, is translated all over the world. So, when Arjuna says his own people, his cousins, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, Bhishma, and all those people before him,
Karna,
even Karna,
his own brother.
yes, which he comes to know much later.
Yeah.
Obviously, he didn't know that.
Yes.
So, he tells I'm sorry, Sri Krishna, whom he called Parth. He used to call him Parth, and he used to call him Madhav. So that is the way it is there. So Arjun is Parth and Sri Krishna is Madhav. So Madhav, I don't want to fight this war because these are my own people. And Sri Krishna, I will not go to what actually we know, that if you don't fight, then it is your duty to fight. But there is another logic which Sri Krishna does, and he says that if you don't fight the war, you will go back, right? Do you think Duryodhan will write history? Yes, because he will just tell that you are a coward. So you are not going to do your duty. That is one problem. Another problem will come with history, because the Kauravas will write history, which actually later the Pandavas wrote, where Suyodhan becomes Duryodhan actually. So linguistically, he was not Duryodhan. He was actually Suyodhan.
So, how this name has been derived?
Yes, Duryodhan means somebody with whom it is difficult to fight. Yodhan, Yudh. Dur is difficult. So in Hindi, I would like to say जिसके साथ लड़ना बहुत मुश्किल है. And even Bhima could not actually defeat Duryodhana straightforwardly. We all know that. Because Lord Balram knew this, that Duryodhana was superior in his attacking skills. Bhima had more power. That's a different case. So what happens is name distortion happens in history. So Duryodhan was actually, probably he was Suyodhana. Even Shakuni's name might have been reversed. We don't know. So all the Su is with the Pandavas and all the Ku is with the Kauravas.
Okay, so these names have been distorted.
Probably. We are not very sure, because history was written by the Pandavas and not the Kauravas. This is what Sri Krishna says, that if you go away from the battlefield, Parth, then Draupadi will be somebody else and not the queen, Patarani of Indraprastha. She will be somebody. I don't want to use that bad name over here. We all know that. And all your brothers will be cowards who actually do nothing but playing a game of dice all the time. So, what do you want? And if you fight, if you run back, that is what he says in Hindi. I would say, कि अगर तुम भाग जाओगे, do you think that they will appreciate you? No. So, what should I do, O Madhav? Fight the war, because these people existed before this birth also. You are killing the body, not the soul. Soul is immortal, and they will again come back in their next lives. And again, there will be one more war, parallel universe. So, how we can put it into management lessons? Management lessons. Well, it's very difficult to transplant these things like a kidney transplant, but I would like to try. Firstly, you can obviously think about employee motivation, which is very important. So, when you are talking about an employee, whether he is or she is motivated or demotivated, Obviously, there are situations where an employee knows, God forbid, that he or she has to serve a notice within 1 or 2 days. God forbid he will be fired or whatever, but you have to serve a notice period. Or even you want to leave an organization for a better organization. So what happens is psychologically you are not in the workplace anymore. And you have to check the answer scripts as a teacher. You have to send a report or something. So what happens is, as humans, we are just like Arjun, who doesn't want to fight the war because I'm not into it. The reasons for Arjun were different. So for the employee, you have to do your duty and you have to give your best till the last day. This is what Arjun actually does when Sri Krishna is going to kill Bhishma and says, Tumse nahi hoga, you can't kill Bhishma. And we know the story of Shikhandi and all that. So one of the things is employee motivation. Another thing that we can talk about is doing your job, doing your duty, and giving the best you have from the day to the night, which is there. And I think this is the reason why Mahabharata is very relevant to modern management lessons, specifically to the idea of strategic management.
For the decision making
Decision making is
in the
also
time of especially crisis and in the time of adversity.
yes.
Yes. So, Sir has expressed his views on the rigorous decision making when you feel conflict and some sort of dilemma within organization. So, Sir, moving ahead, Krishna, despite never holding an official title, significantly influenced the course of events. His role in the war exemplifies silent leadership where a leader creates without a formal designation but has immense impact. How does this relate to present leadership in modern organizations where true leaders may not always be in the spotlight, sir?
Yes, that's. I'm thankful for the question. I think I would first go to an episode after the war. What happens is Sri Krishna saw that the Kauravas were defeated and he went back to Dwarka. And you know that there is also a Gita, which is called a Sub Gita, which is Uddhav. He had a cousin called Uddhav. And one day, Uddhav was asking, or, I can also go to the same thing is that, why did you cause the war to happen? You are not a leader, right? And this is the question that Arjun is also asking before the war, that Madhav, what is the use of this war? Neither I am a leader nor you are a leader. It's all about Duryodhan here and Yudhishthir, Bade Bhaiya over there. So even if we win the war, what will we get? That is what Parshuram also tells to Karna, that even if you win the war, even if you are with the Pandava side, you will not get anything. So to Meri Sharan mein aao, you come to me. I'll give you liberation because it's Vishnu. So what happens is, uh, Lord Sri Krishna says this to Uddhav, that what did I get? Pandavas got Indraprastha and Hastinapur both. Mujhe kya mila? This blame that I caused the war. But then why did I take this leadership role? Even though I was not the leader, I was just a sarathi, a charioteer. So yes, what is very important is you don't always need to have a position. Like Bhishma was never anybody in that way. He was just from the very beginning, since the time of Shantanu, his son Bhishma, or Devavrata. He was called actually Devavrata. So this is something which is there. Another example which I can give, if it is not from the Mahabharata, is Chanakya, where he was actually Vishnugupta of Takshashila. Later he becomes, he was not the king. Chandragupta Maurya was the king. But he paved, he was guru and he was also a kind of a state advisor, but never the king. So even Chandragupta used to say that, Gurudev, you're always dominating me. Okay. And I think it's about the Mahabharata, but there is one small episode which I cannot share here on YouTube, but it is there on the YouTube where Chandragupta Maurya's army went through a village and the village was plundered because they wanted food. And Chanakya asked that, everything has a price. हर वस्तु का मूल्य है. So this is what Sri Krishna is also implying.
So now, sir, we will talk about the mentorship. As we all know, mentorship plays a crucial role in personal and professional growth. So, Lord Krishna guided Arjuna, Bhishma mentored the Kauravas, and Guru Dronacharya trained warriors. So, how crucial is mentorship in leadership and management today?
It has been always important. Every great leader had a guru. So obviously Alexander had somebody.
गुरु बिन ज्ञान कहाँ से पा.
Yeah, that is important, but social dynamics, educational dynamics are changing all the time. As teachers ourselves, we often feel that the students are not giving us the attention we need to give them, and they need to give us. I would just say that every great leader had a mentor. So if you're talking about how mentorship is so important today, it is important even in 2025. It will be important in 3025 also, because you need somebody to give you the direction. So there is always a difference between just a teacher who is teaching in the class and a guru, which is much higher. And a guru actually knows you. One of the best gurus, I would say, which is outside of Mahabharata, is Shukracharya, who was there for a very long time and who was the guru of Ravan. When Ravan went out of track, you know, he tried to tell him many things. Even Shakuni is a kind of a guru for Duryodhana, and we know he guided him wrongly, but not always. Because when Duryodhan doesn't want to go to Indraprastha because he has been called for the invitation, he says that you should go because you are an invitee. और अगर तुम्हारे मुंह में हंसी नहीं है तो मुझसे ले जाओ. And that is what he says to. And when Karna says that I have more power, I can win back Indraprastha for because I am a das of Hastinapur. That is what even Shakuni says. कि what is not, what is not. जो है सो है, जो नहीं है सो नहीं है. So even mentorship is very important. I would say that.
Yes, sir. The Pandavas, despite their individual differences and unique strengths, work together as a team to achieve common goals. So, sir, what lesson can organization learn about managing diverse team? What is the role of team leadership nowadays?
Yes. I think that's also a very relevant question. I think if you talk about the Kauravas and the Pandavas were more divided, and the Kauravas were not that divided, to the extent that when Dushashan was told to disrobe Draupadi, he worked as a team member in that way. He immediately responded. Now, there was a lot of difference between Arjun, Nakul, Sahadev, Bhim. They had their own ways of fighting.
But sir, somehow they have managed to work together in the battlefield of Kurukshetra.
Yes, that's the point I'm coming to. They managed to fight because Lord Krishna was there to guide. So how exactly you can work as a team member in a present organization? You should have a common goal, and this goal should be appealing to everybody. So the idea of winning the war was very appealing to all the Pandavas. So they worked as a team. So material gains need to be very important. So if you are fighting without a cause, and even if you don't have the material gains, it sounds very bad in that way, but you should have some material gains, which is very important, because without material gains, why would you work? So ask an employee if he is going to work without a salary for even a one day, he or she would not. So there could be notable exceptions, but normally it is not. So material gains are very important.
Yes, they are inevitable and very obvious desire of any working employee within the organization. But sir, how will you justify that dialogue karmanyavadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana?
Yes, that is a timeless line from the Gita, which says that you should not think about the result but do the job. But Sri Krishna also means something else. He is actually trying to tell you psychologically. Now we take it in a moral way. Okay, write your exams, results will come. I don't want to contradict the great Lord in this podcast, but actually he's trying to say something else also. There are two boats. One is your action, another is the result. Now, if you place your leg on the two boats, you cannot actually survive. Either you will sink or you have to go to some one boat. Now, when you think it like this, that the results are not yet come, then you have to think about the action. And Sri Krishna is a very practical philosopher, because ISKCON movement, they are very popular even in outside India.
Yes.
And in Pakistan, Srila Prabhupada, who is the founder of ISKCON, built many temples, which was very difficult way back in the 1980s. So it's very difficult to keep this Karmanyavadika Raste principle in 2025. But if you think about your action every day, then obviously it carries you forward. The moment it carries you forward, you don't think about the results. It's about habit. It's less about psychology or morality. It's more about habit. The best example I can give is myself.
Thank you, sir, for making me understand this dilemma about the quotation by Lord Krishna. So, the Pandavas faced exile, hardships, and many adversities, but emerged stronger and more strategic. In today's volatile business world, how can organizations build resilience in the times of crisis and uncertainty, sir?
Well, I think you were trying to talk about long-term strategic management again. You are trying to talk about the strategies that we need to build beforehand.
Yes.
Yes. Well, Pandavas faced exile but emerged stronger. Obviously, if Arjuna had not gone to exile, he would not have got the very lethal weapon called Pashupatastra from Lord Shiva, which he actually didn't use in the war because he had other weapons. Well, if you are talking about a volatile business world, even the world during the Mahabharata was also very volatile,
Yes, sir. Very vulnerable situation.
very vulnerable, because the Pandavas had very less army than the Kauravas. Kauravas had 11 Akshauhini Sena and the Pandavas had 7. So they were outnumbered. This is volatility in one way. Secondly, if we take it in 2025, obviously, with the advent of AI, with the advent of ChatGPT, you maybe do not need a content designer. God forbid he or she may lose the job. God be with him or her. But how do you face this crisis of people losing their jobs or the volatile business world? Well, if you join an organization that has a long term vision, that is always good. That's why many organizations like Infosys, NASCOM, Wipro have survived even after the COVID. And some very important organizations are no longer, say, TCS is something which is giving a lot of emphasis on its employees. Every month I came to know because I was near Salt Lake. Uh, I even did a course with the TCS IN, which, and you know, they look into employee motivation all the time.
Baiju, sir, one of the great example to quote.
Employees are all. It's not about AI. It's not about having a kind of any new tools that are coming up. I think I met somebody from the Harvard Business School who came somewhere, and the very good thing that the gentleman said is, it's not AI, it's not this. These are the old skills that we learned 25 to 30 years back that are more important. That one is long-term vision. So how to face this crisis? Long-term vision. Number two, not learning new skills that will disappear after 5 years. Who knows about AI? AI may not exist after 5 years. There may be something else coming up. So if you take this to the scenario of the Mahabharata actually, you know, when this Vartalap is going on in the Pandav Shivir about how to, win this war because they have 11 Akshohini Sena, we have 7. Then Lord Sri Krishna says that if you're in the side of Dharma, you will win. So facing crisis in 2025 is also about Dharma. So I'm not saying, I don't want to, make an employee read Gita in the morning. It's not like that. It's his or her choice, depends on his or her religion, whatever. But when you keep your focus in mind, it's very important. So when Arjuna was losing focus while fighting, then Sri Krishna says that, Tumse nahi hoga. I will use my Sudarshan and I will keep Bhishma. And when Arjun says that, no, 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 I will kill him. At that time, Sri Krishna told Bhishma that you can also die. You are not immortal. You only have the Ichha Mrityu. I am beyond any rules, any regulations, because I'm Param Brahma. So you can take it in the modern world. You can surrender yourself to the greater world, to the greater good. And believing in the divine, I would not say God or Allah or anybody is always good, even in 2020.
So, coming to that concept as well. Finally, the concept of dharma, sir. What I feel we people are using very distorted and the confined definition of dharma. So, sir, dharma is a central theme in the Mahabharata. How does this concept relate to ethical business practices and corporate social responsibility in today's world? And, sir, please put some light on the actual definition of dharma from the ancient wisdom.
Hmm. Well, dharma is a central concept not only in Hinduism but also in Buddhism.
Yes, sir.
You have this everywhere in other religions. You have this in Islam. You have this in Judaism, Christianity. Ancient texts like the Mahabharata, the Ramayana talk about dharma because it was not a concept in those days. It was a way of life.
Yes, exactly. That's
So I would just a little bit go to the Ramayana with your permission, where when Kumbhakarna rises from the sleep and goes to Ravan, and Ravan says that I had to abduct Sita because I had to take the revenge of my sister's nose being cut, Shurpanakha. Then Kumbhakarna says in Hindi, it was in Sanskrit obviously, but in Hindi he says that कि किसी नारी का अपहरण करके आपका गौरव ऊंचा हो गया है. You had to fight. You should have gone and challenged Iran. Why did you do this kind of a job? उस दिन मुझे क्यों नहीं उठाया? Today, when the war is already going on, you are talking to get me up, right? Dharma was a way of life. It was as normal as drinking tea 5,000, 600,000 years back in the Vedic age. If you talk about dharma today, how to define dharma? Dharma, I would first definition of my very humble definition of dharma is not a concept, it's a way of life. It's not a philosophy, it's something which you do every day. So, if you demystify dharma, if you take it just like this laptop or this something which you're working on every day, without which you cannot start your day in the office.
yeah, that's our duty.
Yes, dharma is not only, yes, it is duty, but dharma is also a way in which you carry forward yourself. Discipline is also part of dharma because without discipline, there is no dharma. And both the words start with D, coincidentally. Thirdly, dharma is where you are not too much ritualistic, where you are not talking only about the religion. You are also talking about truth. Where there is truth, there is dharma. But again, truth and dharma are relative. So, how we can talk about dharma in today's corporate world? Well, ethics is important. Great organizations are ethical in nature. They're taking good care of the employees. One very good example of corporate social responsibility is Japan, where I came to know that Japanese rarely fire their employees and they want their employees to work with them and give something to the organization. That's why they are very forward when it comes to corporate social responsibility. So, this is one way of talking about dharma.
So, Professor Chatterjee, sir, this has been an enlightening, fun-filled session. Sir, we got so much knowledge from the tale of Mahabharata, and I'm very hopeful that our learners will take many lessons from your aspects, your perspectives from the Mahabharata. Thank you so much, sir, for your enlightening session.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. The pleasure is mine. Thank you.